Charles Leclerc has just dropped a huge bombshell about Ferrari's handling of team orders at the Miami Grand Prix, and the ripple effect could shake the foundations of Maranello. His comments weren't dramatic. He didn't explode in anger. But buried in his measured words was a warning. Something is fundamentally broken in the way Ferrari makes decisions on race day. And when one of your top drivers starts questioning not the other car, but the system surrounding both of them, that's when you know the situation is spiraling out of control. This wasn't just another frustrating Sunday for Ferrari. This was the moment the internal tension boiled over, quietly but unmistakably. Team orders that came too late, position swaps that helped no one, drivers left to fend for themselves in a fog of uncertainty. Leclerc's bombshell doesn't just reveal cracks in strategy, it reveals a loss of confidence in the very people calling the shots. So before we dive into the full story behind Leclerc's remarks, how they connect to Hamilton's own frustrations, and what it all means for the future of Ferrari, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us right to the end. Because what's happening now is no longer just about who finishes ahead on track. It's about who's really in control of this team and whether they've already lost it. Let's start with the reality Ferrari is now facing. Not just the final positions, but the dysfunction hiding beneath them. On paper, a P7 for Charles Leclerc and a P8 for Lewis Hamilton at the Miami Grand Prix might look like damage limitation, but beneath the surface, it was a strategic implosion, one that exposed just how brittle Ferrari's internal processes have become. Team orders weren't just part of the race, they were the race. And the way they were handled left everyone, including the drivers, questioning what's really going on behind the scenes. It began with a decision that should have been straightforward. Hamilton was on a faster compound after the stops, catching Leclerc, who was struggling for grip. The textbook move? Let the quicker car through, try to gain ground as a team, and reassess later. But instead of clear communication and swift execution, Ferrari hesitated. They instructed Hamilton to sit behind Leclerc and benefit from DRS. The result? Dirty air, overheating tires, and lost momentum, a Ferrari shooting itself in the foot. Again, when asked about this after the race, Leclerc didn't dodge. In fact, he was remarkably honest. And that's where the bombshell landed. He openly admitted that he didn't consider letting Hamilton through before the team intervened. Not out of spite, not out of ego, but because he didn't believe Hamilton would make it to the end of the race with enough pace. In short, Leclerc was making his own strategic call from the cockpit, one that contradicted what Ferrari's data may have been saying on the pit wall. And here's the deeper truth buried in that response. Leclerc was effectively saying he didn't trust the original call. That's not a minor detail. That's a red flag. Because in any high-functioning team, the driver and the pit wall move as one. But in Miami, they were clearly operating on two completely different wavelengths, one driver acting independently, the other demanding action, and a pit wall stuck somewhere in between, paralyzed by indecision. Then came the double switch. Ferrari eventually allowed Hamilton through, but it was too late. The tires were cooked. The gap to Antonelli had ballooned, and Hamilton had nothing left to fight with. Leclerc on the radio, asking to be let back through. And yes, they did swap again. But by then, it had become a farcical game of musical chairs. All the momentum was gone. The race was lost, and Ferrari had succeeded in turning a strategic call into a public embarrassment. To his credit, Leclerc didn't lash out. He stayed calm, composed, but the frustration seeped through every word. He acknowledged Hamilton's push, appreciated the effort, and stressed that there were no bad feelings. When the man in red in a Ferrari is publicly saying he's fighting for 8th place with no chance to gain ground, you know the house is on fire. Leclerc wasn't criticizing Hamilton. He was pointing directly at the organization behind both cars and essentially saying, "This is the best we've got right now, and it's not good enough." Ferrari, think again. This wasn't about pace. It was about purpose, strategy, trust. If the current trajectory continues, team orders might be the least of their problems. Let us know in the comments what you think. Was Ferrari's handling of team orders in Miami truly justifiable, or did it expose a deeper issue with how the team communicates and makes race day decisions? Did Leclerc's carefully measured comments show a man trying to stay diplomatic while quietly questioning the internal logic of his team's strategy department? And more importantly, how sustainable is this dynamic as Ferrari continues to struggle against the likes of McLaren, Red Bull, and now even Mercedes? There's no question that Ferrari is facing a critical crossroads. The drivers are saying all the right things in public, calm, professional, composed. But the radio conversations, the body language, and the results paint a very different picture. Both Hamilton and Leclerc seem increasingly frustrated, not just with the car's lack of pace, but with how they're being managed. With every swap, every delayed instruction, and every mixed message from the pit wall, confidence is eroded. And that confidence is what drives unity in any championship-winning team. The Miami Grand Prix was just one race, but it highlighted something bigger. Ferrari are no longer reacting like a team that knows exactly what it's doing. They're hesitating, second-guessing, and caught between two extremely competitive drivers with vastly different needs and styles. If this continues, it won't just affect race results. It'll affect morale, development, and ultimately the future of their campaign. So what happens now? Does Fred Vasseur step in and redefine how decisions are made in the heat of battle? Will Ferrari listen more closely to their drivers, the people actually in the car, and give them more authority when the clock is ticking? Or will the Scuderia cling to a command structure that's already beginning to fray at the edges? Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't miss a second of what comes next.